Just hear those keyboards to type and ending pens to write into. It's great creative expression to have a writing session with you. Outside is bad for my health and there's nothing else to do. It's great creative expression to have a writing session with you. Scribble up, scribble up, scribble up, let's go. Let's get words down so. We're writing our stories down like so. Tappity type, tappity type, tappity type, it bites. All these dangry rides. But it must be done like this so our drafts can reach these heights. All these bloodlines are building with themes I'm gilding them for. The words we clock are flying and our readers are dying for more. Let's down some coffee and soda and then take a load of or two. It's great creative expression to have a writing session with you.
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show where this statement is false.
The logic bomb! My head is...
Mind blown, right?
My head explode!
Who invited Luigi?
What's my head explode?
Okay.
You were throwing in my mind with these abilities.
Luigi, go back to your restaurant.
Okay, no, I'm going to do it with my brother, the Mario. I'm going to play the Mario party. Your brother's Gaston. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna go to hunt some ghosts now in my Luigi's mansion. That's a different Luigi. You know,
Probably where you got that.
I used to be a palette swap of my brother Mario, but then later installments I got a bit.
But that's not your brother.
I got a bit taller, a bit leaner.
You are
a
not.
bit longer nose.
That's not. Oh my
Bit of my
goodness.
plump brother Mario.
Luigi.
Chris Pratt is going to play my brother Mario.
Luigi, I have an order of like 17,000 story spaghettis.
Oh,
So will you go work on them instead of being
I must go and make this. No, we cannot rush my creation. This might take you might expect the order in maybe 2 or 3 years, or maybe I don't know, a bit of a. We cannot rush a masterpiece like Luigi.
Yes, but I have a feeling that by the time it gets here, at least the first one you made will be cold.
No,
Anyway,
but my oven will keep it warm and fresh. Whatever. Anyway, I'm off to make my masterpiece.
Thank you.
Ciao. So
Goodbye,
long.
Luigi. Say hello to not Mario.
Making the
Gaston.
mozzarella. Bye, Luigi. God, it's a good thing I'm Italian, or that character would be so offensive.
And speaking of, no, I'm just kidding. Welcome back, listeners.
Yes.
The Luigi interlude unexpectedly delayed us, but we are still in the second episode of
I would
that.
use a segue to talk about your word, but I don't know how to pronounce your word because I've never heard your word.
Yeah, he's learning something.
Cool. So let's take this vocabulary vitamin of the month. Say the word.
Yes,
What is it?
the word is convivial.
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 Boy, that Luigi fellow was very convivial, don't you say? Yeah. And speaking of which...
We're already in it. A simple definition for you, lively or jovial. This word can actually be used to talk about either like an environment or a person. So yes, Luigi was extremely convivial when we didn't care to have him here.
And am I making him a masterpiece?
Go back to your ovens!
The mamma mia.
A sample sentence using the word convivial. The atmosphere was simply convivial at the Christmas party. Maybe it was due to the ridiculous amount of alcohol consumed, however. Now, go out there and take your vitamin, listeners. Have a wonderful holiday season from us, the Ritwit, to your family. Until next set, where we have more. If you'd like to use convivial or any of our previous vocabulary vitamins in an excerpt that you'd like us to share on the air, and those, please let us know.
Absolutely, and those happy holidays to you. Oh, the happy holidays. Back in my day, I was... they say...
Lone Star!
They say a Merry Christmas, man. I say.
You fired me. Why are you here?
I didn't think you fired you. You quit, man. And like, just...
Stop.
Scurried off.
It's semantics.
It's semantics. Off like a...
I left because you were annoying me, and you're annoying me again. So why don't you go back
scurried
and
off like a snake with his tail on fire.
Figure out what hash house lingo you have not used yet.
Oh.
And then you can come back and bother me. But until then, keep working on it and go away. Have a Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
The boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. Anyway. Where do we get all these characters from? All these stereotypes, man.
And speaking of which, that's not this episode.
It's not, but...
Oh, gosh. No, that just means that we're waiting on the inevitable.
Bonjour, messieurs of the Litwit. The great Gaston Crayon.
Stop, please. Please. Spare me.
Go out there and take your vitamin, listeners. Until next time, this has been very convivial.
The Papiers are too convivial. Get off the show. Please celebrate your respective whatever the heck you call the holidays in peace.
I like how that there's multinational race of brothers, but they all have a French surname.
Well, I mean, what's the next thing? We have to rename them all retroactively with the equivalent of paper.
Well, of course, the Scottish one is Papier.
No, that'd be Irish, but anyway.
Oh, you're right. I apologize.
Anyways,
Okay.
can we get into the topic, for God's sake?
It's complicated.
Or have we had too much alcohol from the convivial party last night?
In this complicated world we call home, yes.
Well, allegories, we've talked about characters. Now, in this complicated world that we call home, the one that we're forced to live in whether our characters do or not, there are a lot of events that have significant meaning for a lot of people, whether they are biblical stories, historical events,
Yes.
or even just the general vibes of society. Once again, calling attention to these events in ways that aren't too eye-rolly or on the nose or whatever other facial feature acting characteristics, they can be a bit challenging to do well. So what are some ways for writers to allude to real-world events or important stories through their works in such a way? Not eye-rolly read.
Well, of course. Well, events happen due to certain catalysts in society, culture, politics, or what have you. These events can be very...
Crazily inventive minds.
Yeah, oh man, it's crazy inventive drunken minds. Drunk off of grape and orange slushy.
What did it actually taste like? Grape and orange?
Yes!
Okay.
It's delicious.
They must have spiked it. Holy heck. Alright, moving on.
Okay.
These events...
These events have very clear analogs in multiple types of stories, and therefore can be done quite seamlessly. If you have a story about freeing a bunch of people and taking them elsewhere, it's an Exodus allegory. If you have a story about repressed people fighting back against the elites, it's a French Revolution allegory. Speaking of... No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of which...
Speaking of the French...
no, we do not need a repeat visit.
But these type of stories are so universal that you can easily have allegories for them without seeming to unknown, because, again, these type of events happen all the time to multiple peoples in multiple places.
Yeah.
Just do the basic framework of these events, not calling too much attention to it, and you should be set.
Right.
Do the repressed people fighting back against the elites, and you have no issue. But as soon as the elites' heads start flying off...
With a guillotine.
Yeah, you might be getting a little too obvious in your analogs. So. Anyways, what about you?
I mean, certain ideas are universal. Gestures that mean the same thing pretty much everywhere. Just including something that resembles a major tentpole event in history or what have you doesn't guarantee it's supposed to be allegory at all.
Absolutely.
When you use it to comment about society, like tackle football is the new gladiator sport, for instance, that's when it goes from being simple homage to an actual allegory.
Right.
What you shouldn't do is be so heavy-handed with your own personal agenda in doing it.
Absolutely.
Why are the slaves trying to escape?
Yes.
If
Why
you
must their people be let go?
If you focus more on the circumstances that make yours unique, this afflicted people, the story you're telling, what have you, your own creation, it maintains the parallels with that major event without falling into a trap of being too blunt in why you chose that particular inspiration.
Right, exactly. And yeah, you want to avoid being too blunt.
Yeah, let's just not have any blunts at all, please.
Sharp edges is all I ask for.
You've obviously never heard that term used in the context.
No, I haven't, so I'm going to do it in a different way. You know how I sometimes
You'll be literal.
I like curvy women? No, I like pointed women. Nothing gets me going more than Laura Croft and the PlayStation 1 era and those triangle boobs.
Those polygonal boobs, yes. All right, anyway, where is the line between... sorry, I'll reference this a little bit with a segue here. I mentioned that, reference versus allegory, the difference is kind of intent.
Yes, absolutely.
I mentioned that, and I'll probably say it again for my answer. Wink, wink. But where is
like
the
we pre-wrote
line
these.
between simple reference versus allegory for these plot beats?
Reference, I feel, is more like a specific moment. Like, it's like, oh, look at that. Reference to that. Well, like, just look
Oh
at that.
my gosh, it's that scene where all the women are together in Avengers Girl Power! And all the women are actually like, oh my god, that's so corny.
It's like that scene in Star Wars, where, like, Force Awakens, where they're on the ship, and, like, one of them press the button. Oh, look, it's the chess set! Remember the chess set!
Oh god.
Remember the holographic chess set! You like this? Remember this?
And then they're shoving it in your face. Which is
And again, as much as I like Jurassic World so much more, they're back at the old Jurassic Park. Look! It's the goggles! He's making the move out! Look at that! You remember that? You remember those night vision goggles?
If you can tell, there's one thing he's very passionate about. It is the entire Jurassic Park world franchise.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I did not like that part. It was all, look, remember this? Remember this? We're treating it with as much reverence as you do because you love the movie so much.
Obviously, it was a great box office success, of course.
But the rest of the movie did it better, I think, than Star Wars. Anyways, but, like, allegory is more the whole story.
Right.
Like the whole story is an allegory for something. Like, so in one of my favorite B movies with a blockbuster budget, The Core.
Oh, God.
Like, the core, they go into the center of the Earth using their basically magic submarine that drills through the crust with lasers and then propels through the mantle and outer core like a submarine.
Not just a submarine, it has a freaking drill mounted on the front. That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, but it's this great clue. It also is kind of like a train and has different segments. And later on there comes a point they have to detach segment after segment.
Let me guess. The take it above the water, it grows wings and becomes an airplane.
I don't think it ever flies. But,
oh, Lord. Okay.
anyways, so...
What's the point you're making about the core, though?
Okay, so the core, it's like it has this thing, it's great, like, it's a great movie, don't just tell me otherwise. It knows exactly what it is. Again, like the whole beginning of that movie where they're like, this is what's going to happen now that the core is stopped spinning, whatever that means. Even the core is, the only reason...
Spinning, right.
The core spins because the Earth spins. So if the core stopped spinning, it would actually start spinning in the opposite direction. because that's from our perspective. Because
oh my gosh, the science here is so bad. It's a good
Anyway.
thing this isn't paleobites.
so he's like, how do we fix this? So like, we can't. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean we can't? Like, here's the reasons why this movie that we're in
won't
is
work,
impossible.
and then they try it anyway.
And then this person's like, yes, but what if we could? I'm like, that was the pitch of the movie. In the movie. How meta is that?
Hey, that's one heck of a productive writers' room meeting. Hey, you think this is a pretty good hook for the story? Well, let's actually keep it in the entire film.
The elevator pitch of that movie is basically, it's Armageddon, but down.
Oh my gosh.
The reference of that in that
Yes.
is wow, God,
Actually, there's an allegory in it, isn't it?
yeah, okay, the allegory in it is more like kind of Journey to the Center of the Earth sort of thing.
Jules Verne.
But yeah, well, Jules Verne. The reference though is basically the fact that the ship is named the Virgil.
Oh God.
Yes, after the poet, I think. No, was Dante the poet or was Virgil the poet?
Dante was the poet. Virgil was the.
He was just the person accompanying Dante to the Inferno. So.
I believe that Virgil is like the philosopher. I have to brush up on my.
Well, that's basically a poet
comedy.
about life. So.
Right, but Virgil is also. Was he one of the main characters in like the Aeneid or something? I'm thinking.
Possibly. Wait, no, the Aeneid.
The Aeneid was particularly Roman versus the Greek, where the Iliad and the Odyssey. But anyway.
But yeah, no, Virgil. Yeah, so like, yeah, Virgil was the person who accompanied Dante into the trip to the Inferno. So that's a reference.
Yeah, there's no allegory you can make on Virgil that is relevant to the entirety of the core.
It's kind of like how in the movie Sunshine, which is like Armageddon, but further up. The ship is called the Icarus.
That's a reference.
So,
good Lord.
But anyway, so yeah, like nothing else in the movie The Core is allegorical to divine comedy anyway, other than it's divinely funny. It's hella funny, you would say.
And speaking of hell, this episode. All right. My personal thing is, again, drawing the line. I do this at willful intent. An occasional reference as a byproduct of no original idea anymore, which we say all the time, of course.
Right.
But combining things together for your story is unavoidable. Using that as the impetus to talk about all the issues with capitalism or the nuclear fallout creating a crazy monster or why exploitation is wrong, that becomes allegorical.
Yes.
No matter how deep the reference, how many you even include as a package deal. It only becomes allegory if you call attention to it making a point.
Absolutely. Right. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like,
particularly with like events that happened in history.
it's like, hey, look at this.
Just a passing resemblance to, oh, look, these oppressed peoples are rising up against the elites. It's the French Revolution all over again. Oh, no.
Look at these people burning these books on a public display.
Look at these people talking to burning bushes. Oh, no.
Look at these people smoking some burning bush. Wait.
That actually works. I guess. Anyway.
Look at these people doing something else to that other bush. Wait, no.
Tying things back together. Yeah, I wonder how many burning bushes were in the writer's room of The Core when they thought that was a good idea.
Oh, man. We got some burning bushes. It's like, it'd make a great movie.
This is before it was legal, I'm sure. Anyway. God.
Anyway, so how can a writer get the audience thinking about the event before having a bit of a creative license and taking it in some different direction?
Well, that's a lovely question, but I'll let you answer first because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay, that's a lovely question. Anyways, if you have to have it start out as a clear allegory to something famous, only to have it change direction.
Elvis dying, for instance.
It's like only to have it change direction by changing a key factor in the event's culmination. That could be very interesting indeed. Like you have the president driving down.
False sense of security.
The president driving
down
the
road. Oh, I know how this ends. He gets shot.
There's the grassy knoll. There's a guy sitting there.
No, he's sitting in a tower, as I recall.
He's sitting in the tower. He's going to shoot him, but with a camera. And he takes a lovely picture of the president.
Primrose Path, everyone.
Smiles and waves.
And JFK doesn't get assassinated.
Who said it was JFK? I was talking about William Taft.
Whoa. Howard Taft. Okay. Sure.
Anyway. What is it about recording at night that does this to me?
I wish I knew. This is so off the rails. I don't even know if I can re-rail the train anymore.
Believe me, I'm making a pact to not bring the Papier brothers back. And it's under my control. I don't know if you realize this. Those are all voices that I do. I don't mean to break the illusion. None of them are real.
A little peek behind the curtain. Yeah. Nope, we're just ripping those blue curtains away. And for more on that reference...
Oh, man, the curtains are extra blue tonight.
Extra effing blue.
Oh, man. Bordering on, like, indigo.
Oh my god, I'm beginning to think you can't control
You know
yourself.
what I think it is? I think it's because I'm leaning back. I'm going to sit upright. I'm going to treat this seriously. There we go. Okay.
I don't know if I'll survive this recording session, but we'll let him sit up straight and see if it changes things.
So, if you go in only to be like, psych, and show that they have no idea what the hell's going on, like this episode.
Yeah, definitely this episode. For real, though.
And you, as the writer, have got the reader by the balls with this.
What if they're not male?
Got them by... no. Not going to go there.
Not going there, okay.
I don't want you to deal with that locker room talk around you.
Yeah, definitely not a good idea. I mean, it's already too much, you might say. But I don't know.
Too much. I don't know. Anyways, what about you?
Maybe this is an intentional reference. But the only way you call attention to it as allegory is by pulling the rug out from under them.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you alter the circumstances of that event before people learn about the full extent you use the allegory. Nobody said that allegory of historical events had to be one-to-one.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. No, exactly. And it's preferable to not be one-to-one. Because
when we categorize it all, it's in broader strokes that lose their uniqueness. People rising up against being oppressed. People trying to escape a terrible slave situation. You obviously might think of Exodus in the French Revolution, irrespectively, because I switched them unintentionally. But, like, that describes so many other things that also happened.
Right, exactly.
So we have some malleability in using the basis in our own personal stories.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like, you don't want to... you don't want it to be one-to-one. You want it to be You just want it to be kind of just alluding.
I keep going back to the thing that your dad mentioned about make your puzzle pieces smaller.
My dad can be really wise sometimes.
Funny, if you listen to him more, you might find out even faster. But anyway, it's worth pointing out that with this particularly, if you take a little bit of French Revolution here, and bam, a la Emerald Lagasse, and you have this next, this little Exodus spice, bam, and then you get all of that stuff put together, and all of a sudden it's no longer truly in one allegory for something.
It's true.
Except the main one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can
and
have
how
multiple.
you choose to frame that, which elements you emphasize, makes all the difference.
Right. You can have your allegory where you have a savior come down.
You can have your allegory and your B-allegory and your C-allegory.
Okay, see, now that I'm sitting upright, I'm above such jokes. Like, you're
totally
laying
above.
back down. You're just like, allegory, B-allegory.
I had to contribute to the inanity of this episode.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, like, in order to, you use certain different metaphors and kind of mix and match them. You got the savior that comes down.
Mixing your metaphors?
Yeah, or mixing your allegories.
Oh.
Your savior comes in. He's going to free the
Riding
people.
a rocket ship.
He's going to free the people from slavery, let them go, and then they go.
And then also behead the elites who are oppressing said people.
And then they go, and then they behead them, and then they go into the ark.
And then this person goes on a journey through the 9 layers of hell
Yeah.
to try and get to heaven first.
And then they restart the core. It starts spinning again.
And their submarine drills through the thing, and okay, we're off the rails here. But
Okay. All right. So
now that is a terrible example.
Yes.
Because we're, flying by the seat of our pants, literally. But are there some
oh, there
good
go our
examples?
pants. They're flying away.
Are there some good examples?
Right after dark, baby. Yeah.
You said you were above such jokes, but now you.
That was it. That was my last one.
Level. Okay.
That was my last one. I had one left of the tank.
The tank is now running on empty. Okay.
It's clear now.
All right. So good examples where are there examples that you can think of where this was done successfully, interpolating real world events, major landmark things, but actually using them to make a point?
Well, I don't know if this is like
story.
a specific event, more like just a situation about society. Like about Zootopia is an excellent example of alluding to racism and prejudice in the real world by having it be about animals, predators versus prey.
Which is a natural part of the animal world.
Yes, predators versus prey, certain animal stereotypes. Like, this main character thinks she's, like, above, like, the stereotype. She goes in, like, she thinks, oh, yeah, like, there's such backward attitudes towards this thing. But she herself is kind of prejudiced against foxes because she was bullied by a fox. And it's kind of funny because, like, at the beginning, she's profiling a fox when she starts off as a cop. She's a buddy cop, which is rare. Like, people are like, oh, I'm gonna be the first buddy cop, and no one takes her seriously because the cops are all like rhinos and elephants and tigers and other.
Oh my.
Yeah, like just fierce creatures, and got this little bunny, and like at first they just get her do parky dirty to be a meter maid. Which is, I guess, fair. You start out like that. You don't start off with doing the high cases.
No, you do have to work your way up. That's realistic as well.
But she sees the fox character, voiced by Jason Bateman, and it's funny because like she's just watching the fox character. But if you notice what happens, like he's walking from an alley, and this truck comes out of the alley and says, "Hey, get out of the way!" And then, which is a clear violation. Like you don't when you are in an alleyway and you're in a truck or anything like that, you stop for pedestrians. You don't kneel. It's like, hey, get out of the way. Like, you doing that intentionally. That's a clear traffic violation.
Right.
But she doesn't care. She follows
because
the fox.
She's so busy with the fox,
and she follows the fox. And then like she follows the fox, and it turns out the fox seems to be doing okay. And like she's like, oh, okay, no, the foxes are fine. And then like later on, she gets roped in with the fox. The fox does turn out to be kind of sneaky and whatever, but then later on it's revealed, oh, it's just how people see me, so there's no point trying to be anything else. And he's like, well, there's
that is deep.
Yeah, like,
well, and that's something else that I particularly enjoy this concept in kids movies, that it's not just about the kids, it's about the parents taking them to the theater, that there's something they can get out of it too.
Well, yeah. Well,
aside from jokes that fly over the kids' heads, there's also the really hard-hitting things, but if a parent is there and then can use that as a conversation starter. Just imagine how much more the kid will learn.
Right, exactly.
Seeing this film.
And speaking of parents, like the main character Judy, her parents are also kind of backwards, and so she's from this farm, this carrot farm, of course. And like and for adult jokes, they talk about like how like they're doing the math. It's like, oh, wait, bunnies are good at multiplying, So.
Yeah, that one's less of an adult joke, is more like a tween joke.
But yeah, so anyway, so she teams up with this fox, and then they figure out this case that leads to like this lab that is like this ram that like has this chemical that's like forced onto like predators to turn them savage and turn them on prey. But it turns out anyone when ejected by this.
Will become naturally more of a predator.
More of a predator. But first, she's like, maybe this is just predators going to their natural instincts. And like, wait, what are you doing? Like, then Judy Hopps has to confront her issues, like, because she thought that's what it was. And then she's like, no, that's not right. You're just as bad as everyone else. Anyways, I bring this up. So they find out that it's all because of this lab. And then there's this ram that's working in this lab. And if you pay attention to the movie, that ram is the one driving the truck at the beginning.
This is get out of the way.
So if she had done the proper thing as a cop and not profile, she would have followed the ram, seen the lab, and solved the case right away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said. Obviously, now I'm an adult.
Yes, listen to this episode. We are grown men, guys.
Yeah, fully grown, but definitely still immature. But now that I'm an adult, there's something wholesome about those things, including morals and things that kids might not care so much about or notice. But then if you use that as a way for kids to start understanding. I mean, you don't have to be quite so heavy-handed with this.
Right.
And that's allegory in general, not just, plot points with deeper emotional stakes than simply, oh, look, it's a fox, so of course she's going to hate it. Ha, ha, ha.
Right, exactly. But no, you can tell, like, the allegory really worked, though. Because, like, I saw this in a YouTube comment where this person said, like, on the comments, said, like, hey, I just noticed that person driving the truck was that ram. Like, and that they should have followed... The person should have followed, the cop should have followed the ram, and it's all the case right away. And this other comment says, I'm a black person, I noticed that right away. Because that has happened to me so much. Yeah, I am profiled. Yeah. Like,
well, and it's your frame of reference too. Like, have you ever seen those fun comments like, I was today years old when I found out this or whatever?
Yeah, TIL is often the thing.
Today I learned. Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of a thing. Like, if you don't have that frame of reference, how are you supposed to know?
Exactly.
So allegory sometimes might even go over the heads of the people you're trying to aim it at. If you do it well, it's not so blunt. It's not in their face. It's something that's like...
Yeah, it's not like this movie...
appreciated on deeper examination.
Right. Exactly.
Which is exactly the way allegory should be, rather than, oh my God, look at this obvious Jesus analog. Let's go.
Yeah, because like in this movie about allegory about racial relations, there's no Martin Luther King analog. Like there's nothing like that. So, and in fact, the fact that the main character is a cop makes it very interesting nowadays. So.
Yeah, there is that. Fun fact: a recent Sentai season had cops versus thieves as a concept, and so all of these fans who want to see it brought over and become Power Rangers are like, oh yeah, you can totally do this series. Well, people who are like in charge of the Power Rangers show are like,
we're rooting for the thieves.
Can't do that because one is glorifying being a thief and the other is cops, and that's not really a great idea right now.
No, like cops have a bit of an image problem that they have brought on themselves.
Which maybe they brought on themselves.
There are good cops
because we are profiling them too.
It's true. There are good cops. Now they should report the bad cops more than they are, but yeah. Anyway.
But I'm really glad that you brought up this example because I've never seen Zootopia for what it's worth, so I didn't have that frame of reference. But like, honestly, I just don't really have a ton of...
I remember I was talking to you about this.
I don't enjoy going so deep into things and understanding the allegories behind them.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
I mean, I've probably mentioned ad nauseum that one of the reasons I enjoy content is because I just want to like escape whatever I'm
not enjoying about my own
Yes.
circumstances or whatever. And so I'm not there to look for all of these little bits and pieces.
And that's
of
why
the
you're a music
trail
ma-
leading towards allegory.
That's why you're a music major and I'm an English major. So
I mean, if music didn't exist, I would have been an English major.
music
so
has depth.
Screw you.
Music has depth to it, though, like, doesn't it?
It
Like,
does.
it's not just surface level.
It
But...
does. There's way more than just surface level stuff. I'm not saying that music.
Well, I know,
is
and that,
free of
again,
this.
I'm not saying your way is wrong. Like, that's fine. Like, but yeah, like, no, there's a lot of different things. Like,
Well, I mean, even in music, though, there are people who are far more intelligent about talking in a critical way about music than I am. It's probably one of my failures as, somebody who graduated with a music degree.
mm-hmm.
But I just don't. That's not why I do what I do. It's not why I care about what I enjoy.
I get that. Well, like, and sort of like how in terms of music, like, I guess this isn't a kind of reading, so I guess it fits. So, like, I like movie scores a lot. And there's some like artists like Hans Zimmer or like Howard Shore for Lord of the Rings. Well, no. Here, I bring this up for a reason. Hans Zimmer or Howard Shore for Lord of the Rings, where their music has such like themes to it, such intense purpose to it. Especially like with Howard Shore, like for Lord of the Rings, he does so many different like certain instruments for certain
motifs,
things. Like all this stuff, it's so beautiful that each has a purpose. There's like a moment when the Watcher in the Water comes up in Fellowship of the Ring, where apparently the music is meant to be so chaotic that certain parts of the orchestra did not have music. They were just instructed to improvise. And that's a thing. Meanwhile, Steve Jablonsky, who did the Transformers soundtrack, which are scores that I think are amazing, and so they are kind of
bombastic, but they're really simple.
They're very bombastic. They're very simple. They're just cool sounding.
Yeah, I mean,
and like a lot of them, I've noted like, oh, this is a theme where it plays the theme over and over again and gets more and more intense as it goes on. Yeah. It's pretty simple.
Can I go ahead and split hairs and determine the difference between analysis and criticism, though?
Right.
Because I'm not necessarily afraid of analyzing things.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not criticizing Steve Jablonsky's for Transformers. It works amazing.
Yeah.
So,
but like, because if you really look at something and understand truly what's going on, you gain that much more appreciation for what they do. And the greatest composers, be they the three classical Bs or film score purveyors today, whoever it is, if they have reasons and you know what they are, you can appreciate it that much more. I don't mind analyzing things to understand better about the circumstances with which they were made, but that's not the same way I view critiquing things like, oh wow, what a ham-fisted way to do this moral, or oh my gosh, that allegory is way too on the nose. No, I
get that. And to be fair, I'm kind of the same way. Like, we'll talk about other movies or other books, God forbid, that we have.
What are those? Do you read?
No.
Go buy his on Amazon.com.
I read a little.
More now. You're accelerating the demise of the world, because wasn't it you said after 10 more?
No, if I read. I'm listening on Audible. Loophole.
Okay. Loopholes.
All right. Anyways, but what about you? Anyways,
your mileage may vary on successful.
Mm-hmm.
But I always find comedic treatment. They're veering into parody even. Those are enjoyable. Particularly because they can get away with being on the nose in their allegory. I mean, that's kind of the point. It's a pastiche.
Right.
But I don't have the stones or the wits to really make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I tend not to use allegory, and I don't criticize things so closely to notice beyond the occasional, oh, now I see it, after somebody points it out to me.
And I think what I was going to say earlier, too, is like, I don't see this as necessary. Like, I like something for, like, a lot of surface level stuff. This just gives me more, like, a deeper appreciation for it.
Yes.
But I like it, even if I didn't see that. Like,
I'm gonna go ahead and invoke Pokemon, the franchise, particularly the games, the main series games, where you can play the game at any age, with any style, and theoretically, if you do enough, you can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Are there a ton of numbers behind how you can raise your Pokemon, how to make them more efficient? Absolutely. Do you have to play that way? No.
Right.
A 5-year-old is not going to go in and say, okay, well, I'm going to make this competitive moveset, so I need to make sure that I've got all this type coverage and have these moves that are synergistic with each other and make sure I've got the perfect stat spread in all these places. And most 5-year-olds don't give a whit about.
Right, exactly. And you can absolutely play either way. It's
you can play that way. These are cool, so I think I'm going to take them and try my luck. To okay, I'm literally breeding until I get the perfect mon.
I'm
breeding it the way that I want, so I can do exactly what I hope.
I have
still probably
my DS or my Switch. While I have the Wikipedia tab for Pokemon ready, so I can see exactly.
So you know exactly what to look forward to. What if I attack these wild Pokemon,
I need more grass types.
At least grass is actually a type. But I mean, it's one of those things that you can play at the barest basic level, and I don't mean that as an insult, by the way, or you can be as advanced and competitive and thought out as you want, or any individual level between.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I'm not saying,
and it should still be enjoyable.
I'm not saying like things have to be allegorical.
Yeah.
In order for me to enjoy them, like
right.
As much as I mentioned the core earlier for that movie. Pretty much what you see is what you get. And I still love it.
Who cares about the Virgil reference? It's about a freaking submarine that can apparently travel through molten lava. That's amazing.
It's beautiful. But it's so... I mean, even though it's going deep, it's so surface level. Even though it's literally going into depths. It is the most surface... It's very ironic. It's the most surface level...
Surface level Drek ever for another Ratchet reference. All right. Anyway.
Oh man, but in terms of something like Zootopia, which I guess deeper around than others.
Somebody saying, "Oh my god, I just now realized that it's the ram driving the truck." Mm-hmm. You know, if somebody points it out, oh my goodness, I never noticed that, and somebody else got educated. TIL.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's sort of like something like X-Men, too. Like, you can enjoy that, being like, oh, look at these cool guys with superpowers. We can enjoy it, being like, look at this allegory for oppression.
Realize what X-Men is.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to continue with that, because Magneto's origin very clearly has to tie into Auschwitz, and we're getting further and further away from the Holocaust with each decade. In comic book time, there's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do, and there are other continuities where he's not so closely affiliated with Auschwitz either. But
maybe maybe it could be a thing where his father was in Auschwitz, is what you can do as you go on.
It depends. They might have LMDs because it is Marvel, or some other shenanigans.
You got frozen Captain America style.
Well, I mean, there's no shortage of ways to treat it if you have clever enough people. That does not mean that it's a good treatment. It just means that it's another idea, another way to take the character that obviously they want to keep using, or else they wouldn't. Right. So
what a journey this episode has been. It started out absolute nonsense.
Well, I can tell you this. If you're hearing a very abbreviated episode, readers, just realize our atmosphere was entirely convivial, and I blame it entirely on that.
Well, so it started out with the convivial cavalcade of
the Papier
brothers, and we're ending with a deep discussion about allegories and mentions of Auschwitz and the Holocaust. That's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Sitting upright has made me so much more proper.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, huge thank you to all our patrons so far.
And if you're still willing to support us after all of this, especially, thank you.
I like to think okay, I'm canceling my Patreon subscription. Oh, wait, listing. Oh, that's a good point. All right, maybe I'll join, but on a lower tier now.
He's got a point.
Speaking of points, like Laura Craft again. Anyways, there was an attempt at the callback.
They're so great. No, but anyways, if you'd like to get in touch with us, please use the email address, either from your own personal email system, or you can visit the Matthew Donald Creator website to access a contact link. MattD@MatthewDonaldCreator.com.
That's the email address. The website's just MatthewDonaldCreator.com.
Yep, and you can see all about Patreon from there. It'll link you to it if you want to become a patron.
Even at the lowest level, your name will be on the website.
And the support means the world to us.
Absolutely.
Really, we cannot say enough about those people who are donating to help us continue making this content, particularly because it's looking like we may need to invest in some better recording equipment soon.
Yes.
That said,
Lyra, we put Lyra to bed in this studio. Well, I put Lyra to bed. I don't mean you. Like, yeah, I tucked her in.
Yeah, you know what?
I tucked her in. You sang her a bedtime story. Yeah. Anyways, she's been really quiet in there. This is clearly the answer. We record it late at night when she goes to bed. So,
which means we're at After Dark.
Yeah.
No. Anyways. No alcohol necessary.
No alcohol. I promise no alcohol.
I don't know how much worse that would make it.
Unless Patreon exclusive, though. Alright, so if you'll follow me on social media, you can follow me at Matthew Creator on Facebook, at Matthew64 on Twitter, and Matthew64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because how many different diseases are named after me. I'm a blight bringer.
Don't cough on me, you germ. You walking germ. That's terrible. This has been the Ritwit. So we're the two of us. Apparently are twitting ourselves out about bringing on disease.
I'm Matt Donald.
Stop breathing on me. I'm Matt David. And I may not live to see you next time, where we're back with more allegorical stuff.
Matt Donald.
I'm gonna get one of the 64 things, I guess.
It's pneumonia.
Because he's bringing on.
You pronounce the P. It's so bad.
Because he's bringing on blights, I will remind everybody: wash your hands, get a vaccine if you can,
wear a mask,
and wear a mask. Protect yourself against the newest variants.
Omicron, Omega.
Omega's.
Okay, yeah, Omicron. Right? Yeah, Omicron. Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you have a wonderful Christmas season, and we'll be back just
Happy
in time
Hanukkah,
for the
Kwanzaa.
end of this year.
Well, Hanukkah's past at this point, so...
Yeah, Hanukkah's going to be over by the time.
Okay, well, anyway, so happy holiday season. Happy New Year. See you in 2022, everyone.
Wait. Gonna take that week off?
Wait, no.
I was about to say...
If the 22nd comes out the 29th. Okay. Well, then you're right. All right.
So yeah, we won't see you before the next year with another episode counting on another kind of allegory. But until then, keep ridding the good writ.
Keep on ridding the good writ and writing the good right.
David, again, I must be coming down with the disease of stupidity. Stop breathing on me. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Stop breathing on me! 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 Stop! 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 Stop breathing on me! Stop breathing on me! Stop breathing on me! Stop breathing on me!